government. The other day, I opened and read it. It was them giving me credit. They took note of every single rapper that I shredded and said I broke records with the local paramedics. I was like, bet it. I got a fetish for these funerals. Getting letters for lyrics, a bonus as per usual. Usual suspects.
Welcome back to Bomba Live, the talk show you've been waiting for your entire life. I love talking hip hop. I love people to understand this history, because this is really this conversation is an exclusive interview with Planetary from Outerspace and the Army of the Pharoah clique, legendary independent hip hop artist out of Philadelphia. A few decades now, you can tell from the beard. He's been on the grind for a minute, because I want our young boys and our young people to understand this history. You know, not just. There's obviously a Puerto Rican Latino hip hop element of this, but this is a Philly hip hop story. This is a hip hop story. It's about family, and it's about uplifting of how we identify with all of our cultures. And so Mario Planetary has lived those lyrics for a long time. So you've had this career, you've had a family, you've had this life. You know, you're working on pensions, but the bug don't go away. So what brought you back to the point where not only you're making new music, but you decided to, for the first time ever, come out with an independent project?
Well, our last release was 2014. So we had that Army of the Pharaohs albums. That wasn't really a Outerspace release, but we're heavy on all that stuff. So, and we had My Brother's Keeper, whatever year that was, of 2011 or something, right? Crip got sick. Crip is my partner. Crip got sick, cancer. So that took about 2-3 years of stress. So the motivation went down. We get older, kids, jobs, all that stuff, right? So we didn't really have the motivation. Then one day we said, "Oh, let's do a single." Let's try to work the internet, see how this works, because we really stopped before the internet phase, kind of. You know what I mean? So let's start this up, boom, 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 right? So we did a song and everybody liked it, you know. So people were like, "Oh, y'all coming back," you know. So it's, the way our music is, I think, and that's why I say I think it's a kind of music, the underground part. It's a kind of music that creates like cult followings. There's a huge world that literally nobody knows about. You know, like if I ask the younger guys, even the guys my age that don't understand it, you know, I showed them like, yo, like, you know, look, this is me at in Paris. They're like, what?
Yeah,
you know, like
people here, Australia.
We're talking. There's a whole other world.
With Jack Black in Australia.
Yeah, there's a whole
every major hip hop artist you perform with in Europe.
Yeah, there's a whole world that people don't know about, and
and there's some countries where you're comparable to what we would consider pop mainstream hip hop acts here.
Right,
popularity.
Right. Doing big festivals with the biggest of like, you know, we're doing one soon. There's huge artists there, but it's different. It's a whole nother world. But so we did that. Then everybody's like, do another one. You know, when's this album coming out? So, you know, we did a lot of pump faking, like we're gonna come out with this, but then life just got in the way. But then we had so much built up in the studio. We're like, yo, we're wasting, like we could be making money. We could be doing so much. We have all this music sitting. Let's just put it out.
And people want it.
Right. And people want it like all the time, asking. So the fans are really why we're here, because they push, they want it, you know? So we came out with this EP, Lost Angels. It was of stuff we already had, but it's new to everybody else. Maybe, you know, within the last few years, we made a couple songs. I think one was newer, whatever. So we put it out, and then everything, it's like it never stopped. The fans are just literally just sitting there just waiting. When it comes, they're ready. So in that, it streamed a whole lot from when I woke up to the second when I went to sleep.
It blew up, man.
And I was in shock at how much it streamed, and with not even 24 hours. It was maybe 12 hours, 15 hours, whatever. I slept 8 hours, you know, whatever. So I was shocked. So I'm like, I showed him like, yo, this is crazy. Like that this happened so fast.
Well, yeah, the two when you're global, right? When we're sleeping, people in Finland are downloading.
Yeah, they're downloading.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're ready for the releases, and the algorithms are flowing without you. You know, everything's doing the work without you. So in all this, we said, let's do a bunch of 4-packs, right? Let's put out 4 songs at a time, because the attention span now is low. So we say, you know, usually if you look at like iTunes and you look at an album, you'll see stars next to certain songs. They're always the songs at the top. They're the most listened to songs. then the songs at the bottom, nobody can get to them because it's just the way it is now. It's like the microwave era. You know, it's like in, out, in, out. So let's do 4. And I think that's was part of why it streams so much. Because it's like, oh, it's 4 songs. You can go to a ride. I could have drove here and listened to my EP 3 times.
I saw a IG clip with Russ, and he talked about how he didn't never release a full length album until he was big.
He was doing a song a week.
He was doing a song a week on SoundCloud to build that buzz.
Right.
And a lot of I see it in the game in general, but like in the reggaeton crowd, like they just throw out singles once every 6 weeks.
That's all people want,
just to keep it
now,
fresh.
My age, a lot of them are like, "What's up with a full length?" Whatever.
Or an EP. Like that was kind of our vibe back in the days.
Like, we have to adjust to the way it is now. Like a lot of people,
everyone's doing that.
Why don't you do a full length? Why you do a full length? I'm like, look, we're gonna do 4 packs. It adds to 16. By the time you get to that 16th, make a 16 song playlist, and there's your album.
In the reggaeton space, only the biggest artists do the full length. Most of them do EPs or singles. You know what I mean? Even the like B+ acts. You know what I mean?
Trust me, if you're dedicated to the artist, accept that this is the best way for the artist. And then, like, you want the full length, but know that if you're here to support me, the best way to do it.
Well, the thing is, it's not like back in the days.
Let me give you 4 at a time.
It's not like back in the days where the artist experience was like you had this album and then you had this like season to soak in it, and then maybe you saw them perform a year later.
But then
the
you
touring piece is continuous.
Had the physical piece. You had the cover. You opened it. There was a
the
whole
liner notes.
The shout outs.
The art produced this.
The art was
who
did the art. The art, good artwork. Who produced it? You don't even see producer credits no more. Where do you see them?
Yeah,
you have to Google who produced stuff. You can't even put it when you upload. You can't even put the producers.
Yeah,
that sucks. I mean, you can put them as writers, but you don't see that.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
so it sucks. So we have to adjust though. Like it is what it is. We can't.
So you get a call this summer that I think in a lot of ways verified the direction you were going.
Right. So in the midst of this all coming out, we got a letter, we got an email for licensing a song that we did in 2004.
Wow.
It's called Top Shelf. Sadat X from the legendary Brand Nubian was on the song, right?
Now, you see what I'm talking about, fam? Sadat X.
That's 2004.
Can't get more credibility than that.
That's 2004 that song came out.
Okay.
That song specifically was huge in Europe. So when we would go to Europe, that song, we didn't know. Supposedly, the song was taken from there was a piece of like a sample or something that was part of a huge song out there, but like we don't know, you know what I mean? So when the sample, it helped make the song big.
Gods and Generals, right?
No, Top Shelf.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Top Shelf, right? So it was Netflix. What's the name? Give it every day. Supreme? No, what is it?
Well, it's the Kobe
Redeem Team or something. What is it?
Yeah,
whatever it is. The Kobe the
Kobe documentary.
The Olympic team. The Redeem Team. What is it? Whatever it's called. It was Kobe goes up for a dunk and the song comes on and says our name and everything on there.
Yeah.
So then we were like, that's a nice little check.
Yeah. So and Carmelo talks over you. You talk over that music.
It's a big moment. It's like people blew my phone up because it's good.
Dog, it introduced so many people to you, reintroduced people, people that were fans of yours that were like, I didn't realize that was their song.
Right.
I didn't realize they had a song this good.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. People didn't realize.
Right. And people don't realize because they don't understand it because it's a world that they don't see. So it's like, they're like, oh, how do they even know that song? Like, no, this song's humongous. It's streamed over 30 million times.
Talk what you've been to 17 countries in Europe. I mean, it's some Bucharest. I mean, you've been all those places.
Yeah,
so
pretty much everywhere.
So the tell people about Project Pluto. And what's special about it is that it's not only your first solo project, but the other part of it is that now there's 2 generations in your family that are in the game.
Right. So through all this, I had kids, right? 3 boys and a girl, right? Throughout my whole journey, Marcus, my oldest, he's 23, so he's been here basically the whole journey for the most part.
Yeah.
We started our first vinyl. He's on Top Shelf's album cover.
Yes, he is
playing the MP.
Yeah.
So and then others came after that. So they've all been through this. They used to be in the studio with me as kids, babies.
Yeah.
I got pictures with Mario and Elijah in the booth with me with pens and So they cut from the same cloth we are because they came up on real hip hop. You know, they came up on they all love like Elijah listens to Illmatic like every day. I'm like, what? He listens to the Illmatic? You know, like he's 16. You know, so it goes to show they understand it. So all of them can rap their asses off.
Yes, they can.
Right? They're all good, and they're all
Very
Mario
talented.
does beats. Elijah does beats.
Yes, he does. Very talented.
They all do their thing.
He can write too. I like the way Elijah writes. Very talented.
Yeah, he's got a different vibe. So Mario, who's goes by Element, he started making beats before he started writing. Then he got into the writing thing, but he's just as good at both. So, you know, being at the house, he got the studio in the basement. So out here, I'm in the one day I'm in the kitchen, I'm eating my food, you know. So, yo, hold on. So I'm like, yo, Mario, what is that? He said, you want it? Yeah, I want it. So I wrote to it. That's really where it started because I heard this beat. I said, send me more. Send me what you got. Because you got so much, it's hard to hear everything. Send me what you got. So he starts sending, I start picking stuff. And I said, yo, let's just do a whole joint. We have a studio here. You know, it's like now you can record at your house.
Yeah.
He got better with mixing, you know, to the point where I'm like, all right, we could just lock in here. You know, so it was a lot easier. I always wanted to do a solo throughout all these years.
How many times did how you wanted to do I wanted you, and I think a lot of your people waned you to have that moment.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
Even Marcus.
I said, yeah.
Even Marcus.
Yeah, I used to always get asked all the time, when you gonna do one by yourself? When you do one by yourself? But every time it was time to make music, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, there was like kind of that mentality where like, look, they want us, let's just go. We start doing the shows together, you know, we doing all the touring. It was like, I ain't got no time for that. You know, like there's life, then there's this, which is life. So it's like, where does it fit? I think it fits now because we're not working as much. You know, we're doing things in small increments, which is better, but I'm on go. So like, once I'm on go, I'm not going to I could write at any time. I don't have like these writer block things that a lot of people get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have that. Like, you know, I drive a lot. I'm constantly.
Yeah, I want to bring you back to talk about your process because I think a lot of people are so fascinated by creatives around, you know, what's your process? How do you write it down? Especially in the technological era.
Right.
And we have so much incoming that it's hard to kind of like create space to create. Right. So that's another conversation. Talk to us about this album and anything else you want to share about, you know, this solo project, man, and doing it with Element and your children, right. You know, and charisma and trustworthy. So, you know, it's very special.
So what I wanted to do with this album was I had three things I wanted to get done. I wanted to put Lawrence Arnell, L, he's always going to be on something of mine because I always need him to when I do a personal song, I need him. Yeah. Because he knows everything I've been through in life. He knows how to bring it to life through a hook or whatever.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah, you look at it that way.
So I looked at it as, all right, I got to do my L song.
Yeah.
You know, I got to do that. That's one thing I have to do on here. I have to do something with Mario. Even though every song is with Mario, I was like, we have to do, he has to shine. You know, I want people to know that he can rap his ass off too.
Sure, man.
Right? So then,
killers, man.
Then I said, awesome. I want to get all three boys, but I wanted to make sure I got one with Mario specific. It was just me and him. And then I wanted one with all three of us. So all four of us together, we got something coming too. And the group, we're calling it like Vainglory, right? That's going to be, so the song on the solo is called Vainglory. It's going to kind of introduce that. And it's us four.
2 generations of hip hop.
Right. 23, 20.
That's special.
And 16.
That's special.
17,
that's special. We're doing a part 2 of this conversation. You definitely want to subscribe to Bomba Live because on the next part 2 of this, I'm going to ask Planetary from Outerspace, the Army of The Pharoah Clue, his new first time ever solo project, Planet Pluto. I'm going to ask him about how he brought not just his family together to do this project, but 2 generations, 2+ generations of hip hop. Right. Culture, music. Right. So you definitely want to check out part 2 of this exclusive conversation with Planetary.
One more thing.
Yes.
There's the third thing that I wanted on that solo was kids, L, and I wanted to have somebody that my circle, I wanted to introduce somebody to our world. So fishing through stuff, you know, reels popping up on Instagram. I ran into this dude named Word Life. He's from Queens, New York.
Okay.
Half Cuban, half Peruvian, and he's nasty.
Okay.
Nasty. So I hit him up.
It's so funny. We talk about this stuff all the time. I never heard about this.
He happened to be like, he happened to know, you know, I don't know who knows me. So I introduced myself like, yo, I got some shit. Oh, no, yo, I'm honored. Let's get it.
Oh, that's what's up.
He's gonna be there we're gonna meet him at the party.
Oh, that's what's up.
Oh, that's why I was just texting him before I left because I want to make sure I got his nationality right.
Yeah,
because I didn't know exactly what he was. So, but that's what I want to do. So I got him, L, and the kids. That's basically who I got on the album.
Fantastic. You got to download, subscribe, check out Outerspace, Planetary. There's plenty of music in their catalog. You're gonna be like, it's the depth.
You got Outerspace, you got Army of the Pharaohs, you got Planetary, you got King Charisma, my oldest son.
That's right.
You got Element, and then you got Trustworthy. Trustworthy just got put out an EP, 5 songs. It's called The Book of Applewhite. Right.
All that's
Charisma had met murder.
You have a whole music empire.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
The prolific and one of the things that strictly as an MC I always wanted to honor Mario is that you never took a rhyme off. You know, and you always put the work into it and always spit nasty. Yeah. Check out part 2 of this exclusive conversation with Planetary from Outer Space. Check out Project Pluto coming out May 12th. And subscribe to Bomba Live, the talk show you've been waiting for your entire life.
Planetary AOTP on all platforms.
We're going to take a quick break from the discussion with MC Planetary of Outer Space. You got to check out his new solo album, Project Pluto, available on all platforms starting today, May 12th. We're going to hear some clips from a previous episode from earlier in the week with my conversation with the CEO of the National Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce, Joel Berrocal, who's also a huge wrestling stan. And we talked about WWE Backlash, WWE returning to Puerto Rico for the Backlash event this past weekend in San Juan, Puerto Rico, at El Choli, and our take on Bad Bunny's influence on the Puerto Rican economy, on wrestling, on the larger, how this speaks to the larger influence of the reggaeton movement, the Puerto Rico on our society writ large. And you're also going to hear from my regular co-host, another music legend that's part of the Bomba Live family, the legendary freestyle singer Betty D, the lead singer of Sweet Sensation, who's just going to talk about how she started as a young person in New York, embarking on a golden New Yorican era of freestyle music. And then we'll come back with the second part of our conversation with Planetary to discuss this new album and working together with the next generation of Philly hip hop, his 3 sons, one of which Element produced this album, and the other 2 also appear in the album. So enjoy our quick highlights of Best of Bomba Lives, and we'll be right back.
Money's really, the stuff, the influence he brings doesn't matter what he can. It could be a concert, it could be a wrestling show, it can be an art show, man. He could whatever he wants to put his name on, man. It's gonna be impactful. So we're just, I think we're just kind of at the beginning of it, and it's just gonna continue to build. So we're excited to be a part of that and supporting that.
Let's be honest about it. How much música urbana el movimiento reggaeton has done for our community? How many kids it's kept off the street? How many mouths are getting fed? How many businesses have grown? How is it expanding the Puerto Rican influence in every way, bro? I mean, people in all over Latin America, all over the world use Puerto Rican slang. You know what I'm saying? Like, the political impact, Ricky renuncia. So you have to acknowledge, and this is the latest example of that.
It started when I was 17 years old. So essentially I went to, I was on tour as a young girl. I grew into adulthood through freestyle music. And not only did I do that, I did that with fans who did that with me. So I still am in touch with fans that I have been friends with, that went from fans to friends to family even since 1986. So it gives me a purpose, it gives me a purpose and a sense of pride to be able to share my culture, my music, my personality, myself, my love, everything with the fans that I think of this genre that are just the most amazing fans.
Welcome back to Bomba Live, the talk show you've been waiting for your entire life. Thank you so much for joining us. This is part 2 of my exclusive interview with Planetary from the legendary underground hip-hop group Outerspace, which is part of the legendary hip-hop crew, Army of the Pharoahs. Much respect to Vinny Patch, Jedi Mind Tricks, and all of our friends in the our hip-hop family here in Philadelphia. Thank you to Planetary for joining us. This is part 2 of that conversation. We want to let people know Project Pluto, Planetary's first ever solo project, is coming out on all platforms on May 12th. You got to download it on all platforms. He's got new music from his group Outerspace. He's got new music from his family, hip-hop family tree, from Trustworthy, King Charisma, Element. Check out the entire family. This is kind of a new generation, new era of classic Philly hip hop music. Planetary, thank you so much for joining Bomba Live. In this part 2 of this exclusive, this epic conversation, because I know people, the ears are going to be chirping when they see this conversation. We're going to talk about some hip hop legends that have influenced you. Again, this is a love letter in a lot of ways to hip hop, to Philly hip hop, to the Puerto Rican influence of hip hop. There's going to be we're going to touch on all those elements. But in the beginning of this conversation, I really want to go back to the fact that this new solo project was fully produced by one of your sons, Element, who's an incredible talent, and your other sons, King Charisma and Trustworthy, were also part of this project. So besides the familiar part of this, which is a beautiful thing, but you also had a challenge because you had to bring together 2-3+ generations of hip hop music and style to produce something. So, you got young boys that, you talk about Coogee Rap, they're talking about Future. Yeah. How did that collaboration artistically, that had to be interesting?
Well, see, the thing is, because their dad rapped, they grew up
in the culture. See, that's critical.
And all their uncles rapped. Not like you. Market, Uncle Marcus, Uncle Dave.
They were around Vinny. Yeah.
They're all around nothing but rappers.
And people in the culture, see, that's the other thing. You're thinking about, because there's so many young people that they don't even connect with what modern day rap and hip hop is with like the culture, like graffiti, breakdancing.
Yeah.
I remember in 2nd grade and I was with Andy, who produced these shirts, or this gear, Broad Street, and he was just, now he's your brother-in-law, but he was just one of my young, 3rd grade. Yeah. And I remember the day Andy brought the cardboard in like 81, 82 to elementary. And said, all right, we're going to do this now and start flipping around and sliding. But that's the culture, though. And we still got love for that.
And it's still around.
Oh, that's
the laws are still getting written on. The guys, they're still breakdance crews.
Absolutely.
They're still rappers. They're still DJs. They're still, none of that.
Shit, I go to Vegas. Jabberwockies is like with Shaq and, playing all the places.
Yeah, no doubt.
So how do we bring this? So they were in it, but they're still younger. Yeah. So talk to me about that production.
The production is the main piece of that, because although they all, they put me on to like the new stuff. Like I like new artists that don't sound nothing like our stuff, like that aren't underground style. I like Little Uzi. I like all that. A lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? But it ain't what I make. So, but they're capable of making all that. Like if you listen to Trustworthy, Elijah's stuff, it's different.
Who was that boy who got killed tragically? Tentacion Triple X. He was a big influence on him, right?
Yeah. And Mario, all 3 of them know how to do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they all could spit. So for me, I'm like, listen, like it's more so Marcus, King Charisma. He always had like a self battle. Like I like this, I do this. I said, Mark, your pen is intense. That's where you got to, like go that route, because your pen is ridiculous. Like it's a gift. If you have it, you have to use it.
No doubt.
And so I knew that all of them were capable of just doing they can switch. They can do this. They can do this. They can do this.
So on the production side I
had to figure out I had to wait for that beat. Mario hit me one beat. I said, this is the one with all of us, because I heard every voice and I knew exactly how it was going to sound.
Got you. So then on the so you have a beat that kind of fits everyone's flow,
right?
But then talk to us a little bit about the process of making the song around the beat, because I remember you telling me. Now we're back in the days when you're going out there spitting with people that became legendary hip hop figures out in the street battling. You're toe to toe, if not one of the top dogs.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me like there's a lot of people that can rap, but there's not a lot of people that can make a song.
Oh, that's a big deal.
You know what I'm saying?
A big deal. Like that battle culture that's real big now. That's my only beef with it, because I'm like, that's all good what you're doing.
That's what you did.
That's all good.
That's how you started.
But can you make a song? And a lot of times, from what I've experienced, some do. There's a couple that I met. Like I mess with Arsenal. There's a couple guys out there in that world that I heard songs. I'm like, oh, they're dope MCs or whatever. Yeah. But to be able to make a song is not easy. Anybody can go in there and make something, But is it good? Are you really making it? Or are you just rapping?
It's so funny because when Nicky Jam went on Drink Champs, he talked about that. They were like, Nicky, your English is good as shit. Why don't you do English shit? He goes, I speak English, but I don't think in English. Yeah. So he's like, I could spit a rhyme, but I write all my own shit. Yeah. So if I don't write it, I don't feel comfortable. And I don't feel my English writing matches not just like my lyric ability,
right,
but to put a song together because it's melodies, it's thematics.
He knew his strength.
He knew his strength.
He said, "My strength is here.
Yeah,
this is what I'm gonna do." And that and they say it about Biggie a lot. And the biggest thing I think when it comes to writing or just rapping on a beat is you got to become the beat. You don't want to be the rapper. You want to be like literally like an instrument. And that's why Biggie was so good, because when you heard Biggie, it was like,
yeah,
he was like a part of the beat.
Yes.
You have to be part of the beat. If you're just rapping sloppily over a beat, it just sounds like slop.
That's right.
But you have to that's when it becomes a song. And a lot of times you hear stuff, you're like, what is this?
With this project, what have you learned from them, your sons, in terms of
I gotta keep up. Damn. Because they can spit, so I'm like, they're not gonna burn. I'm like, y'all not gonna burn me on this song.
Wow, that's competitive because that's they've gotten to every MC. Like, oh, whoa, that's like on the physical when your son could beat you on 1-on-1 for the first time.
Yeah, like all three of them, even the young boy. I'm like,
it's so funny. It's so funny you say that because I think, and it's episode 7 we end up doing together, is that I think part of the satisfaction you got into doing the art was you always believed in your lyrical ability.
Right.
And so, okay, I didn't have platinum records, but my standard of lyricism was world class. And it was proven with the touring and the critical.
And then you got to remember, I became part of a supergroup. So the supergroup, the Army of the Pharaohs, everybody could rap.
Yeah.
So the mentality going into that is, I have to be the best guy on this song.
No shit.
And everybody's nice. So it's like...
And everyone's kind of be like that.
And I still think I'm always the best on the song. That's just how I look at it. I'm like, nobody burnt me on this. Nobody burnt me on this.
By the way, that's true.
And people don't like arrogance. But I'm like, this is the one thing I got. I always say this to Mel or whatever. I'm like, this is the one thing I got. And I'm not going to let nobody tell me I'm not good at it.
It's so funny. I am good at it. Because I feel that way about this.
Yeah.
That and we're approaching the 10-year anniversary of me doing this, and there's been ups and downs in that, and I tell people, I said, there's 3 things. I wake up every day a little pissed off that I'm not doing it for real, right?
Right. It comes.
Second, I do the show in my head every day.
Right.
I'm like, if I could talk to Mario about what happened with Pop Smoke today, or like whenever hip hop or urban subject. Yeah. What would we talk about? And then the other thing is that I don't care if we're doing it in my basement. I know I'm nasty.
Yeah.
And then the when I went on MSNBC, was it 2.5, 3 years ago, whatever it was, and I got like my one shot in the major leagues, and I thought I had a 2-run shot. I was on the whole hour. I thought I killed it.
Yeah, you did good.
And it was that. Thank you. And that the satisfaction. I was surprised how much that fulfilled me.
Right.
Because I thought I'll do this and I'll be dying to do it every moment of my life.
Right.
But I'm like, there was to just get that validation. I don't want to say it was enough, but it was more than what I thought it would be.
Right. It fills a void that was there somewhere.
But it proved something that you believe, I believe,
and
I still believe
and belong.
And I belonged, and then I proved it.
Right.
And don't make it because then the producer was like, "You're nasty," and then COVID happened and whatever. My neck.
Yeah.
But that even though you know it,
because
I don't think anyone doubts you can spit. And I encourage people, check out Outerspace. I mean, over 4 full-length albums. They came out with some new singles. The new Planetary project Pluto coming to it. So I mean, the catalog is there. You take it. Don't take my word for it. Download all the shit and you'll understand. Right. Netflix doesn't put songs on Kobe documentaries or nothing. So the competition, that's really interesting. What are people who maybe are from our generation or young boys? Tell them what they're going to expect from this Project Pluto.
See what's happening now, which is helping, I think. There's are you familiar with Griselda?
Yes.
Okay, so you got Benny the Butcher, you got Conway, you got West Side Gun.
So we're talking about the real shit right here.
These are all the Buffalo cats.
Upstate cats, yeah.
They kind of brought it back a little bit because it felt like it was going away.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of like what we were doing and like everybody we know in our world,
Mm-hmm.
we're like, what is that? You know, like Jay-Z's retiring, Nas came back.
Is still out there,
but
yeah.
that shit helped Nas come back too.
Yeah,
like, I can still be out here spitting.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
it Jadakiss did that versus. I mean, that little thing he did at versus.
You
that
talk
was
about a comeback.
That was a lighter for
Yes,
a lot of
did.
people.
Yes,
Everybody started get actually like, rappers started not performing over their vocals.
Yes,
he said something about that. That was a huge thing. I hate it.
Well, just think about how Jadakiss, how more relevant now he is in the culture than
right.
he was.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think about I mean, I don't know what you think, but like Kendrick maybe played a little bit of a role like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, the Kendrick, Cole guys and Drake's because they rap.
Yeah,
they put a pen and they can really rap. You know, but it's still a little different because the sound.
Yeah, no doubt.
For me, this is just my personal.
And the competitive nature. Going back to your competitive.
I like them both.
Oh yeah.
People always compare J. Cole, Kendrick, whatever. I like them both. They both can rap.
No doubt.
But I'm not huge on the beats. But what they're doing is working.
It's so funny because
it's clearly working.
And I don't pretend to be like his biggest
fan.
I
do like some of the
But beats. With Kendrick, I'm so impressed. I admire his music, but I don't love his music.
Right.
Like, because I'm like, wow, this is very well produced.
That's how it is with me.
This is beautiful, well composed.
That's a good way to put it.
Hip hop music,
but I don't love it. Yeah.
But I don't like, but I'm like, but I respect.
But they respect the music.
So what else do people expect from this album, this project?
It's all bars. That's all I care about. I just want to rap my ass off on everything as much as I can. But I always had a thing for hooks, choruses, whatever. I wanted to keep the old school cuts. I just wanted to do the album I always wanted to do, So if you're into just, that's a nice verse, like he's spitting, that's what you're gonna get from the. I got one that's, I'm not gonna say party. I hate saying that, but I got one that's like a little like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I got one that's real personal, which you've heard.
Yeah.
With L, but everything else is basically that. Like I said, Word Life in Queens. Mario gave me this beat, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Right, like this beat. I remember I said to Vinny right away. I said, "Listen to this beat." And he's like, "That's crazy."
I've always been amazed by how y'all, something that for the untrained ear, it all sounds pretty cool, but y'all can really decipher like what's special.
Well, let me tell you something about that real quick. A trick that I know, like me, Crip, Vinny, like our circle. You send me a beat, it's got 3 seconds.
Look at that.
If I don't go,
look at that.
Within 3 seconds,
yeah,
I'd skip. If you send me 10 and 1, I'll know. I'll listen to all 10 in a minute.
I'll take it a step further. For the real special artists, that first song, the first 3 seconds, I know they're different.
Right.
Like I think about Bruno Mars.
Right.
When he first came out, I think it was that ballad, I compare to you. No, he was on somebody else's song and he did the hook. And I'm like, forget that guy. Who's he? So the real Christina Aguilera, different context. But I remember Christina, like when I first heard her do her poppy shit, I said, she's going to be a star forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But she actually could sing her ass off.
But that's what I'm saying. But that was like the Britney era. But I'm like, all right, Britney's Britney.
But you knew who could sing though.
But I was like, but even beyond the singing, like someone that's been able to reinvent herself and stay true to the craft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we come back from this break here on Bomba Live, the talk show, waiting for your entire life. This is a hip hop encyclopedia. I tell people, I know my politics, but my man knows his hip hop. So when we come back, we're gonna share some names. There's really a love letter to these conversations to hip hop, to Philly hip hop, to our Boricua contribution to this incredible culture. And we're just gonna, you just listen. And the hip hop philosopher going to school. This conversation was so rich and so incredible with MC Planetary from Outerspace and Army of the Pharoah, talking about his hip hop musical journey, talking about his new album, that we had to split this up in 3 episodes. I initially was going to break it down into 2, but it's just so good. So there's actually going to be a 3rd edition of this series of epic conversations with Planetary, Philly hip hop legend. And we're going to just talk about some of the incredible artists from Philadelphia, from the Latino hip hop community, and just some of his favorite hip hop artists that shaped him in the part 3 of our special conversation in series here on Bomba Live with Planetary. So you want to look out for that new edition of that next edition of Bomba Live next week. And please download and subscribe the new album, Project Pluto, available now on all platforms and wherever you can access music nowadays, starting on May 12th. So download Planetary's new album, Project Pluto. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and happy Mother's Day.